For today's video, you will need a bolster, and it is designed for if you've been sitting at your desk all day and feeling neck stiffness and a tight low back. We're going to start on our hands and our knees, curling the toes under and taking a nice deep toe stretch. So this is going to stretch every muscle in the body, just through the toes. If this is sensitive, you can always sit on top of your bolster to get a little bit of a lift and less pressure on the toes. Taking some nice deep breaths, rolling your shoulders back and down, maybe doing some neck rolls, and then shifting your weight forward so you're kind of pinching your knees on either side of that bolster, coming into a nice child's pose. So we're releasing the thoracic spine here. I like to put my head over to one side so that I'm stretching out the left side of my neck, which tends to get the tightest. Just letting my breath rise and fall at its natural pace. You should feel your heart rate begin to slow. And this just allows the body to regulate all systems, your circulatory, your breathing, your nervous system. Taking a nice deep inhale, just shifting your head to neutral, so bringing your forehead to the bolster. And gently letting your breath rise and fall, creating space behind the shoulder blades. And then gently turning your head to the other side, stretching the other side of the neck. Relaxing the jaw, relaxing the face. As you're ready, on a deep inhale, bringing your head back to neutral, pressing your palms into the floor, and coming into a rabbit pose. So if you have any cervical injuries or surgeries, I want you to just stay in a child's pose. Otherwise, placing the top of the head on the bolster, I want you to shift your weight forward, holding on to the backs of your thighs, so right in the knee crease. So we're really rounding the thoracic spine and also the cervical spine. So you should feel a nice deep stretch in the neck, in the occiput. And then keeping the space right underneath your chin and your throat also. So really moving with the breath here. We don't want to be compressing. We don't want to be agitating any nerves. We're just moving with space and with breath. Taking nice deep breaths in and then slowly shifting your weight back. Sitting on top of your heels, rounding the spine. And then gently bringing life back into the head. Placing one hand on the side of your temple. So bringing your ear towards your shoulder. Just taking a nice deep neck stretch. And again, I'm not pulling on my head. I'm simply placing my hand in my head, which is enough weight naturally to give a nice stretch. And then on an inhale, shifting to that other side, bringing the other ear towards the shoulder. Nice deep inhales here. And again, if it's uncomfortable to sit on your heels, just sitting on top of the bolster. Always being mindful of your knees. And then shifting our weight forward, we're going to cross our ankles, come to a seated position. We're going to place our bolster underneath our knees. And then we're going to place our sacrum up on top of that bolster for a supported bridge pose. So this is like a nice lazy back bend. And I want you to really slide your shoulders underneath your ribs to elongate the back of your neck. And you can let your knees fall in towards each other so that your hamstrings are nice and relaxed. There's really no effort here. We're allowing the front of the hips to have a nice passive stretch while we breathe into the thoracic spine. And if this feels good, I want you to stay here, or if you'd like to take a deeper twist, placing that ankle, your right ankle, over your left knee, as in a figure 4, and then gently letting your knees fall over to that left side. So now you're in a nice supported but elevated twist. And I like to open my arms open like a T, and then gently turning my head away from my knees in the opposite direction so that I'm getting a nice deep twist. If you feel any pinching in the glutes or your hips, just gently back off, lowering your knees, taking a less intense twist. We want to be mindful that more pain doesn't equal more gain here. And we're really just kind of emphasizing space in that chest and thoracic spine. So this is less about getting a deep hip stretch and more about breathing into our upper body. And to come out, just gently moving your knees back to center and windshield wipering from side to side. And taking that same form on the other side, so crossing your left ankle on top of your right knee, and then just gently leaning your right knee over towards the floor. Opening your arms up like a T, and you can look the other direction from your knees to take a deeper stretch in the neck. And having our sacrum on the bolster allows us to kind of take a more elevated, deeper stretch in the thoracic. So it should feel a little bit easier on the hips, but we're still doing a really deep stretch in the spine. It might just not feel as intense as it normally does. And just taking deep belly breaths. Inhaling for a count of 4. And exhaling for a count of 5. Inhaling for a count of 4 and exhaling for a count of 5. And to come back to neutral, pushing your palms into the floor, taking a nice deep inhale and shifting your knees back to center. Windshield wipering your knees from side to side, allowing that hip circulation to flow, moving as slow as you need, maybe pausing in those sticky places. And as you're ready, bringing your knees towards your chest and holding onto the outside of the feet. So coming into an elevated happy baby. This allows a little bit of space in the hamstrings. Bringing those knees in toward your armpits. So there is a little bit of effort here as I'm grabbing the outsides of my feet and also kind of pushing down on my knees towards my armpits. And then bringing the soles of the feet together here and gently lowering your feet back down towards the mat. Removing the bolster. And then placing the bolster right above your head. So we're going to take a supported plow pose. Again, if you have any cervical injuries or sensitivities, being mindful of this pose. So on an inhale, we're just going to lift our feet over our head. And this is a little bit lazier than some yoga classes, so I am scooting my shoulder blades underneath my ribs, so I'm creating space in the neck. And I'm also grabbing on to the sides of my yoga mat to help that internal rotation of the shoulder. And this is a very deep stretch on the hamstrings. It can feel wonderful after a long day of seating. And my video got a little cut off towards the end, so staying in this pose as long as you need to. Sometimes I'll stay in this pose for 10 or 15 minutes and then just gently bringing the spine back down towards the mat.